You know, in a world that's just overflowing with information, there's one skill that's quietly becoming the absolute key to success in pretty much every field: data literacy. And hey, this isn't about being a master coder. It's about being able to understand, to question, and to tell stories with data. So let's break down what that really means. So you see this quote from Andrej Karpathy, who's a huge name in AI, and it kind of turns everything you think you know on its head, right? For years, we've been told that data science is all about mastering languages like Python or R. But Karpathy says, nope, the most powerful tool you have is English. This signals a massive shift, where thinking clearly and communicating your ideas is becoming just as valuable as the technical stuff.
And this just perfectly captures the crazy situation we're all in. We are literally drowning in this endless flood of information, of charts, of stats, but we're starving for actual knowledge. So the big question is, how do we turn all that noise into something useful? That's what we're going to tackle today.
To get us from drowning to knowing, we can't just wing it. We need a framework, a life raft, if you will. And that comes in the form of 5 core competencies. Think of this as our roadmap for turning all that raw data into real, meaningful insight.
Okay, so here it is. This is our framework. These 5 competencies are what take us from just being passive consumers of data to being active critical thinkers. It's a journey, right? It starts with just understanding what data even is, and it goes all the way to crafting these compelling stories that can actually make things happen. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with this foundation: understanding data. And this means getting that data isn't just numbers in a spreadsheet. It could be a customer review, a doctor's note, even a satellite image. But you know, the most critical piece of this first step is accepting one simple, humble truth. Data is always an imperfect reflection of reality. It's just a snapshot, never the whole movie. Data also comes in a few different flavors. First, you've got your quantitative data. These are the hard numbers, like a blood pressure reading or how many patients came in today. Then there's qualitative data, which is all about descriptions and meaning, like a patient telling you their story in their own words. And finally, you've got categorical data, which just sorts things into neat groups, like blood types. Knowing what you're working with is step 1.
Next up, we've got a 2-for-1 deal: finding and interpreting data. Now, finding isn't just about a quick search online. You've got to put on your detective hat and ask, is this source legit? What's their angle? And then interpreting is about reading between the lines of a chart. You're looking for patterns, sure, but you also have to ask, what isn't this data telling me? That's just as important.
Our last 2 competencies are really where the magic happens. Working with data, okay, it's the unglamorous part. It's cleaning up messy, real-world information, but it is absolutely essential. And then comes the final, crucial step: communicating. This is the art of turning what you found into a story, a narrative that doesn't just throw facts at people, but actually inspires them to act.
So we have our 5 competencies, great. But how do they help us actually level up our thinking? For that, we're going to turn to this really powerful model called the DIKW hierarchy. It's basically a pyramid that shows you the journey from raw facts all the way up to genuine wisdom. This pyramid maps out the path perfectly. You start at the bottom with just raw, unorganized data. Add some context, and you climb up to information. When you start seeing the patterns and can make predictions, you've got knowledge. And at the very top, when you can apply all that with good judgment, that's wisdom. Let's walk through a quick real-world example to make this stick.
We're starting at the very bottom of the pyramid. All we have is a single raw number: 6. By itself, it means absolutely nothing. It's just a number.
Okay, let's climb one step. Let's add context. Now it's not just 6, it's the patient's PSA level is 6. See? Suddenly, that number isn't just floating around. It's attached to something real. We've just turned data into information.
The next step up is knowledge. This is where we apply some rules. We happen to know that a PSA level over 4 is considered a bit elevated. Now our piece of information has meaning. It's not just a number anymore, it's a potential warning sign. That's knowledge. But knowledge isn't the final stop. Wisdom is about applying that knowledge with nuance, with experience. A wise clinician knows that these tests can have false positives or false negatives. They know how to weigh the options, and most importantly, how to talk through these complex decisions with their patient. That is true wisdom.
You know, some people even add a layer on top of all of this: intelligence. This is where you proactively use what you know to solve really complex problems. For instance, considering the patient's age or family history completely changes the risk calculation. Intelligence is about knowing what to do with the facts and what deeper questions you need to ask next. Okay, so we've got a framework, we've got a model for thinking, but how do you actually do any of this? You might be thinking this all sounds like it requires years of coding, but that's where the story gets really, really interesting. We're now in the era of data science without code.
This workflow really shows the new reality of data. It's a simple three-step process. Prepare your data, build your model, often with intuitive drag-and-drop tools, and then share the story. The big idea here is that the focus has shifted away from writing complicated code and onto the logic of the analysis itself. This is huge because it puts these powerful tools in the hands of the experts who actually know the subject matter, not just the coders.
And this brings us full circle, right back to that first quote. The entire mindset is shifting. Instead of getting stuck on, how do I code this, the really valuable questions are becoming, what's the right question to even ask here? And how do I know I can trust these results? It's a big move from just technical work to real strategic, critical thinking.
So let's bring this all home. What does this new, more accessible world of data actually mean for you in your day-to-day work? So what's the bottom line here? It's this. Data literacy is not a technical skill. It is a critical thinking skill. It's about changing your focus from how do I build this chart to what is the right question to ask in the first place. As all these technical barriers are coming down, the people who will lead the way are the ones who can see the story in the data, who can verify the results, and who can communicate what it all means.
All around us, every single day, the data is talking. It's whispering secrets, it's revealing hidden patterns, and it's pointing the way towards smarter solutions. The real question for your future, it isn't about technology, it's about you. Are you ready to listen,